Hey everybody, Bryan SilverBaX here. Bullet wants to know where I've been all weekend. I have been at JoeLanta 2015, and I must say that I had a learning experience. It was awesome and overwhelming all at the same time. The morning before, it was like, was it a Christmas, you know how when you were a kid and you couldn't go to sleep and you're like, oh man, I'm gonna get all the coolest fucking toys in the world, and no. It was that weird feeling, so I was a little anxious. And then when I get there, I'm there all by myself. Like 7 in the morning after I got lost in some shit in my own fucking town. After I finally got there, I wheeled all of my shit in, because you know I'd been planning for this. And I get there, and there's my table. They said, there's your table. And it's right up against the wall. There's no room to get to just for the easel that I bought, and the fucking cool little PVC thing that I had. I don't know what just happened there. There's a little PVC thing that I had to get the poster stuff. There was no room for any of that shit. And so I had to work that out. But it just seemed overwhelming, and I was like, I wish I had a battle buddy to do this with. But okay, fast forward. I got everything set up, and I put the picture on Facebook, and everybody's like, oh, you go knock them dead and have fun. All right, well, a toy show is probably not the place where comic book artists are going to make most of their money, or even a good sized nut. Because the guy sitting right across from me actually drew for G.I. Joe. I think his name was Tom Feister, I believe his name was. And he's actually drawn the G.I. Joe comic and stuff before, and he wasn't getting a whole lot of action. So I was like, dude, this guy's not getting a whole lot of action. I'm just going to sit here and look pretty. People didn't even know I was the artist behind all the cool posters and shit. They're like, oh, you got cool posters. And then when they'd say, hey, I'd like to get one of those. Yeah, okay. I said, well, you want me to sign it? Oh, you're the artist? What the fuck did you think, man? Everyone here is the artist. So that was a bit weird. So I did get a lot of attention for this dude. I don't know if you guys can see the 3D-ness. Is it a little too much glare, camera commando?
Oh, you can see it.
Alright, yeah, so I got a lot of attention, but nobody willing to drop $1,500 on this or the Hulk. But they were like, oh man, that's a cool style. You know, how much did it take to do that? And how much work and all this? And I was like, alright, well, I'm not going to give you all my secrets, but it's cut up cardboard with paint on it and a bunch of glue. Try that shit out. So, not a whole lot of business coming my way. Not a whole lot of, hey, will you sketch me a cover like I thought there was? I came up with these elaborate little, oh man, I got these prices if you want this. You follow me, you just take a QR picture. Boom, QR, that's me. Oh, marker sketches, here's the pricing for that. Nobody gave a shit about any of that. Didn't even look at it, didn't read it, nothing. Because everybody walks up to you and says, how much is this? Even if they walk up to you at all. Because sometimes they don't want to be bothered with you and what you got going on. So that seemed to be a big donkey waste of time. And it took up space because I had them on the little thing. So that was no good. I had a Darth Vader piggy bank that I bought at Walmart for, $10. And I put a big thing on it that said tips. And had a little arrow pointing up. I thought it'd be cute and funny and shit. Well, motherfucker, they don't care. Okay? Tips my ass. You're lucky to get what you're asking for the stuff that you're doing. So the tip jar also took up space and also seemed to be a bad waste or a bad investment of $10. What else about the booth setup? I eventually figured out the second day when I went back to prop up the purple display rack on top of my big tub. That way it sets everything higher and it's more like, hey, look at me, I'm obnoxious. Look at the Deadpool grabbing the boobies. So all that to say, here's about how we did, silverbackers. Aside from the one silverbacker whose dad came up and bought a whole shitload of paint pals and bought a sketch for his grandson Lemmy, which is the son of the silverbacker. Her name starts with an M, and I don't want to mispronounce it. But you know who you are. Tag yourself in the video. So aside from that, I got a lot of actions on paint pals. A lot of people came up and were like, ooh, the paint pals are cool. And weren't so much on to buying them, but I thought it was a cool idea. So the second day, Sunday, today, my focus was to wear a paint pal shirt, and that would maybe be like, hey, this is also so cool, you can get it on a t-shirt. Because the first day I wore my DeCobraCons t-shirt that I got from T-Villain with the Cobra logo and the Decepticons thing right in the middle. And I didn't get one question about the shirt. And I'm like, you fucking old man. Fat stinky. The whole place smelled like a big fat armpit. But I had fun. I think it was the toys that actually stank though. So I went there. My paint pals were pretty big. Sold about 10 prints. This is covering both days. About 10 prints. That Incredible Hulk cover that I did with the Hulk Buster and everything. Guy bought that today. And he bought a couple of posters, signed them. So it was fun. It was a learning experience. I'm not retiring anytime soon from my 9-to-5 job. But I was able to start my first sketchbook. And for those that don't know, this is a bound sketchbook that you buy for yourself. And then you go to as many artists as you can and ask them to draw in your book. And then one day your book will be filled up with all this great artwork that you've accumulated. So I started one and I wanted to have mine themed Deadpool. So I ran across Shannon Manor, who works on a television show that most of us adults like to watch if you enjoy secret spy stuff. And I said, hey, will you do me a favor and draw me a picture of Deadpool? And she's like, sure, no problem. She was not even there as an artist. She showed up to visit me with Amos. She showed up with Amos. And then she did me a little Deadpool Sailor Moon combo. And all I had to do was hand her a couple of paint pals. So that turned out pretty cool. So I go back today and I was like, man, I really want to see more people's Deadpools and stuff. And so I went over to Mark Wright, who's a comic artist who does the circuit up and down as far as the East Coast. I don't know how much. And I had to pay for this one. I paid $10. And this is what he gave me for $10 for this Deadpool. So that's pretty cool. Then I talked to another guy today. Let's see. Let me get his name right. The Hawk of New York. Randall Bishop. Randall Bishop is a guy that wrote and creates his own comic called Hawk of New York. And he's also in a band. It's like his comic book is based on some of the band, and his band is got the lyrics to some of the. It's really interesting how he's incorporated his music into his self-published comic. But he gave me Deadpool riding on a motorcycle, much like his main character, the Hawk of New York, in his comic book. So he's a really cool guy, and I actually talked to him for quite some time about on how to set up a Neato shop and TeePublic on how to get his shirts for his band and his book. And then he was so kind as to give me like the first issue of his book. It's got like 2 issues in here. He signed both of them for me. And it's also got like a audio podcast that he did. Like, this is the sample CD of the music. And I guess that's for I think that's the label for the band, for the music. And he gave me this one, Hawk of New York issue 2. Another Hawk of New York issue 1. He signed both of those for me. And here's like the flyer that he had made up. So he was a really cool guy. He'll be at Heroes Con with me, and it was really fun. And then the wife, also while we were there, the wife and daughter realized that all my fucking paint pals were out of order. And as everybody would come up and say, oh, I want this paint pal. Oh, I want this paint pal. Then we'd have to go through here and dig and find them. And that wasn't so cool. So they rearranged those today. And then I sold one of these fat heads from Neato shop. Still got, this was what the book that I used to keep all my original art in that I had for sale today. Not a big audience for most of this stuff. See, I thought that I drew Destro just to go to the show, but no. I drew another Deadpool. I drew a Snake Eyes just for the show. I drew a Ninja Turtle, man. None of them moved, so I don't exactly know what I'm doing, but I didn't go in the hole. I learned a lot. Met a few people. I met people outside of the world of comic books that came up and talked to me about maybe getting some of this put into their restaurants. He wants to put that type of artwork in his restaurants. So that could lead to something. I met a cool security guard that has a lot of disposable income and owns $20,000 replicas from the original Star Wars. He's got a $27,000 Darth Vader he's trying to sell. He's got a $1,500 replica Ewok, and these are like limited Lucasfilm stuff. He's got all kinds of shit. He's talking. He may want to contact me to do like a Darth Vader doing a force choke in this style of what did I call it? Unconventional mosaic. So Amos came by, and Amos hung out with me for a little bit on Saturday, and you know the nice young lady and her husband that they work for Action Lab Comics. They do a show, a comic called Fight Like a Girl. So overall, I had fun, and I really appreciate all the kind words that you guys had. And I haven't had a sip of liquor, so it is time for you guys to get out of here. And I hope to see you next time. And if there's anything I can do to make stuff better, or you see any ways to make improvements, oh, I missed one. Holy shit! I almost forgot. I got another Deadpool. Boom. This one has a story behind it. I was sitting there today, and this girl comes up and starts talking to me about gel pens and what I use to create my stuff. And she gave off the impression she knew what she was talking about. It turns out she's 16. She's in high school. She's an art student, or she wants to do art, and her dad's an artist. And I was like, hey, why don't you do me a favor and draw me a Deadpool in your unique style? And she said, sure, no problem. So Sydney Branson, who has her own style, she decided, this is the Deadpool that she gave me, and her dad were really cool. And for her volunteering her time, I gave her a couple of paint pals, gave her dad a poster, and I'm pretty sure that SilverBaX has a customer for life in the dad. So, once again, thanks to everybody, and it is time to get my drink on. Peace.